Hello, people. Today we are going to talk about the life of Ernest Hemingway, and this character is very important in North American literature, and we are going to see some things about his life. First, Ernest Hemingway was born in Oak Park, Illinois, in July 21st, in 1899. He wrote on his high school paper on his school paper, and he became also a journalist after high school. And he was in World War One and received the Silver Medal of Military Valor. So he was a military, and he was also a journalist in the Spanish Civil War and in World War Two. So this writer was very interesting because he was a soldier and he participated in World War. So something else about his life is that he married 4 times and he had 3 children. And when he wasn't writing, Hemingway spent much of his time chasing adventures such as big game hunting in Africa, bullfighting in Spain, deep sea fishing in Florida. He suffered from depression and alcoholism. And this is something very peculiar about most writers because the majority of them they have the problem of alcohol and many of them died because of that. As you could see in Edgar Allan Poe, his life was very difficult and he died at a very young age, and because of alcohol he died as well. And in this case, Ernest Hemingway, he committed suicide in July 2nd, 1961. Eh, we don't know the reasons why he did this, but probably because of all those traumas that he had in the war and the alcohol and everything affecting his life. So, his writing style. Ernest Hemingway's writing style was one of the 20th century's most important influential writers. So Hemingway's techniques is complicated with plain grammar and easily accessible language. It is a simple style and straightforward. As you could see in The Old Man in the Sea, the way in which he wrote was very simple and very easy to understand, so that we could understand it easy. The grammar was not so complicated. The words that he used were not so difficult to understand. So that was something really nice. And that is the characteristic of his writing style. In contrast to Edgar Allan Poe, that uses a lot of difficult language and a lot of new vocabulary, right? So Ernest Hemingway's characteristic is that he writes these types of works. That is very important about Ernest Hemingway. And one of the characteristics about him is that he won the Nobel Prize in literature in 1954, and because of his amazing book, The Old Man in the Sea. So he wrote The Old Man in the Sea in 1952. So 2 years earlier and 2 years later, he won the Nobel Prize because of this amazing book. The Old Man in the Sea is a book that helps us to understand the difficulties that we have in life and how life can be a difficult thing to deal with, and that's why is Ernest Hemingway showing us all of these things about his life. And finally, one of the characteristics of Ernest Hemingway with his books is that all of the books that he wrote dealt with good versus evil. I mean, like in this case, the old man, he was fighting against himself. So we will see all the literally elements about the old man in the sea later in another video. But in this case, he was writing things such as war, hostile tribes, or the conflicts of overcoming war. The author is able to convey a realistic aspect due to his life experiences, and he shows how one adapts in and overcomes the ugly, evil side of a man. So all of his pieces of writing included this theme, right? Good versus evil, and we know that we have to fight versus all of these things. But this is a little bit about Ernest Hemingway in his life. The most prominent things that was that he won the Nobel Prize, right, because of his book The Old Man in the Sea. He was a military. He participated in World War II, and he also died. Um, because he committed suicide and he had problems with alcohol as well as many writers. So that's all, people. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. This is the life of Ernest Hemingway.